Okay, now this is my next upgrade. I'm so excited to see it, and let's see what it says. Now I got another good deal on eBay. It's not secondhand. It's supposed to be brand new, unused. This is the Corsair version. Let's get on here. He hasn't opened it. I think there's a little rip on there. Apart from that, still packaged very well. So the seller was very good. And basically, I got this for £80. Normally they're £109. I got it for £80 with delivery. 280mm radiator to cool my Ryzen 5800X, because it seems to be a bit hotter, and I know I could probably bring the voltage down to get it cooled off, but for now I'm just happy that I've got this, and this will do the job. 280. I couldn't put any more bigger on there because my case is not big enough, so this is what I have to go with next, and we'll do a comparison between the 240 and 280. Although they're different brand, to see which one keeps the Corsair, which one keeps the Ryzen cool. So here we go. Looking forward to unboxing this and having a look to see what's inside. This is my setup, as you can see. It's got the 240 red on there. I had 4 fans on it, but because of the new 3080 Ti, I can't put the fan on the side. And it's a bit of a mishmash. I've got a fan there, so when this gets really hot, I literally just open, it lets the air in, fan starts working, keeps the GPU cool. But my main problem is the CPU itself, where it gets really hot, and it's not enough, or the radiator, I think, to cool it. And some people say the orientation of the radiator is the problem, but it's not really, because the top of the radiator is still above the CPU, where the CPU block is basically, so it should be fine. And there you go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the unboxing of my new radiator 280. It's going to be a Corsair version, so all the fans will be the same. You'll look a bit more unified look, and maybe I won't have too many lights, just the fan lights should be enough, and the RAM lights as well. But for now, this is what it looks like, and you'll see later on when it's all done. We'll probably redo the whole wiring system. I might video doing this, but it just takes too long. So I'll just be redoing the whole wiring and putting it all back together again into a newer look to my, upgrade to my PC. The reason for the upgrade to the new radiator is because I like to keep things very cool. Because it's in a cupboard, it gets a bit too hot in there anyway. So with the new radiator, my GPU is beautiful, because with my 3070, the temperature was raising up to 75 degrees, which is acceptable anyway. But with the new 3080 Ti, when I'm playing my gears, it seems to be keeping to about 63, 64, in maximum 65 degrees, which is beautiful, which is perfect, just what I wanted. But the CPU seemed to be jumping up to about 80 degree. Sometime it throttles just above 80 degree, and then it comes back down again. But that's not what I want, so that's why I'm getting the radiator put on, just to see if it makes a difference. And we'll compare the two as well to see if 280 is better than the 240. I know they're different brand, but we'll see if it makes any difference at all. Right, so in addition to my upgrade, I'm going to change some wires as well. Right, so opening up what I received from Amazon. I already had a look, so it comes very well packaged. So this is it, the wire that's going to hold together and go straight at the back. This connects to the 3080 Ti power cable, 2 that I need. This will connect to the GPU, and this will connect to the power supply. And I think it'll look quite nice, quite small compared to what I've already have. So if you look at it as it is, this is what it looks like. And this is from Amazon for $12.99. So as you can see, it's very red. That's indication there's about 80 degrees on there while the gaming is taking place. I think it's only on Fortnite right now, so if I could show you, Fortnite being played, and yeah, it's getting a bit hot. But the GPU, the color coordination at the top, that represents the temperature of the GPU, and that seems to be fine. There's no problem there because it's staying quite cool. It's just the CPU that's getting hot. Alright, today's mission is basically to do an upgrade, but it's just not a full-on upgrade or anything, because I've already put the GPUs, everything I need in my computer. So I'm basically upgrading the cooling system. What I have already on there is the Antec 240 red. I'm going to replace that with the, which is upside down right now, the iCUE H115i Elite Corsair version of the 280 red. The reason for this is basically my Ryzen 5800X that's in this computer. If I can open this up to show you, it does heat up quite a lot, and I feel that I'm going to compare the two to see which one works better. I've got a really good deal on this, so I thought I'm going to put it on and see how it is. The other thing is basically to keep it all unified, I'm just using the Corsair version of it because everything else is in this Corsair anyway, which works really well. Ignore the way the mess is inside it right now because it is quite messy, and I'll show you what I've got in there, and I'm going to tidy it all up. So that's the mission, is to tidy it all up, put this on and compare the two to see which does the better job, or did I just waste my money on getting a 280 red. So we'll find out soon enough after I've done this all. So first thing to do is take everything out and just redo the whole thing again, rebuild it. Just to show you the inside, what have I got in here is I've got the radiator which you can get replaced. I've got the 3080 Ti, which is brilliant compared to the 3070. I must say it stays cooler much better, which I'm loving it. This basically, I keep this fan there is because of when I open the window, the door up, basically the glass door, it allows the air to go in quicker to cool the GPU, but that's only when it gets really hot in demanding games. Going to put this hard drive somewhere else maybe. Got the that's just a 120 just to store some stuff on there. It does have the 2 terabyte Gen 3 though, M.2, which is up there. I love the machine. It's just that I just need to make it look a bit better. And yeah, we'll go on doing those. Probably won't show you everything I'm doing. I'm just going to just put it all together, show you the mess maybe, and then see if I can put it back together again in a better way. Alright, let's just do a quick unboxing of the Corsair and let's see how that looks. So let's just take this apart. Now I got this from eBay from a guy, and I must say I was a bit doubtful at first for the price that I paid, £80. It was normally £109 now on sale and stuff, but it did come quite well packaged and everything, so he's a good seller. I don't always buy things from eBay because sometimes you just don't get the right things. That's quite difficult to open, isn't it? Alright. Here we go. So, get rid of the rubbish. Now how do we open this again? Every box has its own little trick. I haven't opened this one before, so I have no idea. Maybe. Nope. Nope. Must be this way. Nope. Okay. Right, now that I've worked it out, I think it opens that way. Can't believe I couldn't open this up. Alright, so let's have a look. Safety warning guide, the usual. That's fine, that's fine. Put this to the side. So inside, it should say on here somewhere, I just noticed what's in it. So it's got all the brackets and stuff that you need. You've got the 2 fans, which is 140 on each. And I don't know if it comes with the Commander PRO or not, because it's got a picture of it on that. I think you might need that. It's got all the stuff that you need on here. So I don't know if you can see it close enough, but it doesn't need all the stuff probably comes in it. But we'll find out. It does look like Commander PRO in there, but I'm not sure. But let's have a look at the radiator itself now. The difference between the two radiators, they look the same size. I think this one just looks a bit more nice finish to this. Yeah, it's got a better finish than the one that I've got on there. It's got a bit of indentation to it. And the block itself is roughly the same size as the other one. Just got to be careful. I think the block itself has got the thermal paste on it, which I might just keep. Why not? So they look roughly the same size. This one's just got a bit better LED lights in it, so that's fine. Let's put this to the side completely. So 2 fan, 40mm, 140mm fan, which are the same as the one that I've got up there, which is brilliant. So it'll be all unified look, which will be much better to look at. Now this is the bit I'm not sure of, if it does have a Commander let's see what this is. I can open it. Do I need it? Because I've already got one. Or I replace the other one. Yes, RGB. Oh wow, that's I've already got all of these, so I don't know if I need to use it or not, but I might just put the new one on and see how it works. Yeah, the fans, RGB hubs, so it comes all pre-done. So I can actually put all the fans onto this one, RGB hubs onto that one, temperature thing goes in there. We'll compare the two what I've got already in there and we'll see what it looks like, but for now let's just put this back in there again. It's a mammoth task when you're building it. I know it looks very easy for some people who are doing it, you know, YouTube videos and stuff. So these are labeled TR4 retention, AMD AM4, this is the one I'll be using, which is so simple. A bit of Allen key in there. And this is for Intel, it looks like. Intel. And, oh, that's a, oh wow, okay, let me see this one now. This is interesting. If it's white, I'm going to be loving it, unless it's the white version. Oh, wicked. It'll go really well with what I've got already on there. So basically this replaces this bit, I don't know if you can see it, the top bit into a white version, which I might do that. But as long as it's an easy one to put on, I'll do that. So I am quite happy with this. There's some more stuff in there. And then it comes with the screws, which is brilliant. So we'll just keep them all in the box for now. Keep them all out of sight. I'll just put it back in here. It seems like a simple idea when I thought of it first. Just trying to put them all together into one box. Seems like the easiest job. And when you see other people doing it on the YouTube, it seems like a simple part, but we've got to take all parts, making sure nothing's damaged. And we'll go from there. So we'll just leave this on the side. Okay. Alright, so let's go on with this. First thing to do is to get this machine, let's put it down, and actually let's take the bits that I don't need at all. It's my DIY job. Actually to use a cable tie, put in the hole just to keep it there for a bit, that's fine. They'll need to come out. The hard drive I put in there will have to come out, so I don't need this anymore. They can go on the side. This hard drive just stores up game clips. I think just 1 terabyte. I think it just stores game clips, so I don't need that at all now. So these wires, I want to hide them as possible. Another thing I've got that I'm going to show you. One of the last things I'll be implementing from EZD, what are they called, from Amazon, is the cable mod. That's the only cable mod that I'm doing. I'm not going for the full-on nice looking modified cable mods, but this simple one, which look a bit better than having these two hanging out there. You go right to the back. The question is, do I go around this way or the top or underneath? I'll have to figure something out, but anyway, we'll do that later. What my next worry is, a couple of these wires, I have no way of putting them through underneath and going into there, which makes it, you might not be able to see it here, these two wires that comes out. I've got no way of doing that, so that's a problem itself. So they might just have to stay on the top, which is quite a shame that I can't do that. They haven't made it in an easy way of doing that, so that's fine. So that's the cable mod that's going to go on there. So there you go. So I'm going to build it up and I'll show you what happens halfway through. I might show you the little clips of what's going on. But apart from that, let's just get on with this, which can take me a while. So here we go. Let's start. Here's a modification I made earlier on to let some air in, which is right at the front. I've basically, you've seen the YouTube video if you watch my channel. I did that. Yeah, so I'm going to take the front panel off now. You can see how messy the back is. So this is the Commander Pro. I just want to compare and see if it's the same thing that I've got on here. I don't think it is, but if you can control everything on there, that'd be great. Which would solve a lot of problems. So first thing to do is to see what I need and what I don't need. So in this case, this looks much smaller. It does have temperature setting control or some sort here, which this one's got a few more temperatures. I've got 4 different temperatures I can check on this. So what I might actually do, if I want to keep this, I can keep this because it gives me a lot of temperature of what's going on in the system. Because I've got temperature things everywhere, the back of the CPU, how much it is, it tells me everything, which is quite useful. So I'm undecided, I'll be honest with you, because that only has the 1 temperature sensors on this one, and that one's got 4. And I don't see anything else that goes with it to give me any more. But I don't know. We'll see. I might just have to put this one on. If this doesn't work with it, I'll just have to put this one on. But the second thing is the connectors, are they all the same? They look the same to me on that way. And RGB hub. There's 2 parts to this, of course. It comes another RGB hub thing that to connect to for the other fans, but I don't need to do it here if I'm just using one. So it might save me a lot of space, so I might just go with this one. So that's the difference first of all. Where with the Commander Pro, it's got all the stuff that you can connect to it, but is it necessary? So I might just change it to a smaller version. Makes life so much easier to wear it all up. I'm going to just take the whole wires apart. Also, this will go as well, because this is the other fan, the ADX one I connected to, which I don't need anymore. So I'm just going to keep taking things out, things I don't need, and then later on put things I do need. So that's the plan. So my first major problem is I've got the AMD thing on there, but it's not suitable for the AMD I'm going to put on here because the hooks are not on there. So that's what the problem is. So I've got to take this out, find the old one. I don't know where I put it. It might be in the motherboard box somewhere, which I've got to find, and then replace it, put it back to the original way it was, so that I could use the AMD 4 bracket to put onto, so I can connect the coolant to it, basically the AIO to it. So yeah, one problem after another. So this is the thing that you find when you've done overtime upgrading, you lose things over time and try to find it. So it's good to keep them all together somewhere. And so I'm going to go and look for it. I'm going to have to go and look for it now and find it and put it back the way it was. So here you go. I've sort of done everything I need to do. I've taken all the fans out, as you can see. So much stuff I took out, but I did stumble into one biggest problem. As you can see, the bracket, the original bracket that comes with the motherboard is not there, so I can't put the AIO on there at all because without the bracket. So I've just had to buy a new one that's going to come in it will come in a couple of days, so I can put that back in. I'm going to change that to white color to match a bit more of the case itself. But looking at it right now, I mean, I could change and put some cable mods on top and thinking, but I think it's not necessary. This just looks just right anyway as it is. It looks a bit more clean cut. Now I'll show you the back, and I mean, for example, only one thing that I wish somebody could help me with. Is there any way of changing the orientation of the fans itself, so whereby you look like facing towards the inward of the case, but the fan will turn the other way around? I just need to learn to do that somehow, because right now it's facing outward on the radiator fans. That'd be quite nice. So if I can get that done, that'd be great. And I've got to figure out on an iCUE system it can be done or not, but that's for another time. I'm sure there's a way, but I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe somebody knows who can let me know. That'd be great. Now let's look at the back. That's the main bit, the wiring. I really thought I would have done a good job with it, but I think it's acceptable. So much wiring, and I did put the LED strips back on from the original ADX thing without the fans, of course, because the fans are still there. So I did put that back on. And let's look at the back and see what it looks like. So looking at the back itself, I mean, as you can see, the side wiring there is not bad, but as you come down lower, there's so much stuff's happening there that I had to, and I've changed the Commander Pro to this one that came with the cooler itself. I kept the ADX one in there just for the LED lights that's going to go inside. The hard drive that was inside the case, where you can see it from the front, I have managed to screw it onto the casing there. The both of them are there. I think they're about 2 terabytes and another 1.5 terabytes, just to store a few things in there. In the future, where things are going, probably to expand that to higher capacity. The cable mod comes out there, connects to the power supply there, which is fine. But it's the little wires that really bugs me. It's not neat, and this, I mean, just staying there, as you can see, just there like that, and other way around. That's the best orientation I can give, because this wire here that goes to the cooler itself goes all the way to the top. So you can see from this side, this is not bad. To be honest with you, because I got rid of loads of stuff, minimized it a bit more, thus giving me a bit more space as well to do the wiring a bit better. But as you can see from the distance, it's not bad, I think. I mean, I could have kept everything white if there was a way of doing that. That would be nice, but you know, that's a lot of money, a lot of cost. The main problem, as I said to you, is basically the bracket here. That will need to be changed. I'm just waiting for the thing to come from Amazon. That's the quickest way I can get it, the next day delivery. And so yeah, so looking at the case, if I just turn it around, the back, it looks all right, as you can see. And then on the side, look at the main inside the case itself. The fans are all there. They're all identical fans. Only difference is these ones are 3 pins fans, but this one that connects to the hub at the back. This one here, these ones here with the radiator, they're 4-pin connectors, which is interesting. There are a few things I didn't like on here that I would have liked to change, because I think the way the case has been made, they could have kept a bigger gap on here, which would allow me to put more wiring straight up instead of where it's more visible, which I'm not happy about, but you know, you'll have to do the job. Few things that bother me, but it's not the biggest problem. But I think it just looks a bit more cleaner than before without having everything on there. So that's the difference. So the fans on the top and the orientation of the radiator, I have to do it this way. That's the best way that I could get it in. I did not want to put on the top because there's a lot of heat that's get produced in here, especially with the graphics card. And all you're doing is just sucking the heat from there straight into the in a radiator at the top. That's one thing I did not like to do. A lot of people do tend to do that because they think it's the best way. But as I've realized and did my research, all you need to make sure is the top part of the radiator is above the CPU cooler itself. It has to be above this bit here. And as long as the air will trap up here and not in the pump itself, which is in there. So the two things I'll need to do next is quite simple. When the part comes, I have to put this on there, change this bit to white. Which is basically the white version, which you can see just about in this case. I think it'll look much better if we take it out and have a look. I mean, they could have made this magnetic, I suppose, but they put it in such a way that I think the white will look a bit more better. Let's just leave it on the, yeah, I think the white looks better. I don't know, you can tell me what you think, but I think it just goes better with the RAM itself. I mean, it's a black and white sort of theme I went with, and this is probably the best I can do. I think the white will look so much better, so I'll leave it to white. But the thing is, if this was magnetic, that would have been so much easier just to change this, just like stick it on, job done. But now I've got to unthread it with a special Allen key that they've given on 4 corners, and then have that change. So there's a few things to do, as I said. So when that's all done, I'll connect it all up, and we'll have a little test to see what the thermals are like with the CPU and the GPU as well. But as I said, the GPU was doing so well, considering this is 3080 Ti, and when I was running the 3070, it was running a bit hot in the same place, and this is just keeps it cool to about 63 degrees, and that's quite impressive by me. I must say that I was very impressed by this, playing on the high setting as well. And yeah, so there we go. So I think this will be my ultimate gaming machine. Just need to, I mean, the future, what would I do? I mean, color coordination would be nice. Hardwire cooling would have been good, but you know what? I think it's just not necessary. Too much money to be spent on there. Even I was thinking of changing the M.2 to Gen 4. I don't think that's even necessary. I mean, what I was doing, I've got 64 gigs of RAM. I don't want to go, I like the whole thing filled up nicely. And fan wise, I think that 140 all the way around will be a lot of air pressure in there. And I just need to smoke it, as some people would say, get some sort of special smoke and see how the airflow happens. That'll be interesting to see. But overall, I might put another SSD on here, which will probably give me more storage if I need it. So it's all ready to go. The lights have been put in here, so they'll all light up. I do like the way it lights up in here, which is really cool. And I've got a little light that's, I don't know if you can just about see it, just so it sticks out there, which will light up the inside a bit more nicer. I was going to put one on the top, but I think last time I put it, you can't really see much of it, so it's no problem there. The wiring itself, maybe cable mod, but then is it really necessary? That's, the other thing that you got to really think about and weigh it up if it's worth it. I mean, the best thing I probably did is just buy this, which is much more neat and cleaner, considering that, I mean, where they put this, sort of silly. I mean, why would you put it that way? I think the newer ones are slightly different. I mean, it should be at the back, on the side somewhere there, just easily stick out, done. But that's fine. It looks much better now with the cable mod. And this was $12.99 from Amazon, and it fits just right in perfectly. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll just show you afterwards when it's all done. Just give you the last look of what it looked like when it's all finished. But this gives you a good example of how it looked like at the end. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes and how the thermal works afterwards. Alright, I've got last few things to do to complete this upgrade from 120 radiator to, sorry, one thing, 240 radiators to 280 radiators. Now let me take this off completely. And what do we have here? So the missing part that I did not have when I initially installed my 240 red is the bracket that goes on the motherboard itself, which I've got from Amazon today. It took a day for it to come, and I'll show you what I mean. So these are the brackets. You can see it. This is what was missing, which hooks the radiators, the motor itself, or the liquid cooler. This bit there hooks onto this little piece there. So I'm going to install that now, and then put it back together again and orientate this in the right way, and also to change the top of this. That's the next objective. So I'll just take the whole thing apart again. The amount of time I have to do this, just back and forth, back and forth. Other people make this look so easy and simple, but I never had it. Every time I'm simply upgrading, it always takes longer. There's always effort there to put in. It doesn't end. So we'll take this out here first, and I also wanted to, let's see what we've got here. Let's open again. So I'll put another LED strip somewhere in the front, but let's have time to do that. I'll do that. Let's get everything I need out. So I've got the AMD setup thing here, the front bit, the back plate, just to test that everything fits okay. I've got the screws that comes with these little brackets. I just want to make sure that when it goes through the other side, yep, they connect quite well. Actually, they do work. That's brilliant. I have the original back plate, but just not the bracket itself. So that is all I need for now. I'm just trying to think of anything else that I might need. I think that's it. So I'm all prepared and ready to go. Put this back. Ooh, I need the Allen key to take the original one off as well, so I might get that out too. And I don't know where I put it. So just to make sure, I've got the Allen key to change the face of the motor itself to make it into white, so it matches the white thing there, which is fine. I've got all the screws, the back plate, the bracket with the screws. So I just got to now take this apart. Alright, so this is where it gets a bit tricky, because now, I've got to be careful here. Here we go. This is it. So I'm going to take these off. It's a long screw, so let me just do all those. Just about to take the back plate off. It should just come off easily. There you go, that's off. Now to put the other one on, which is this one here. It's a bit hard to do because, there we go. If it stays on there for a second without breaking, the other screws on. Screwdrivers. Having a magnetic screwdriver is always useful. Now, when it comes to thermal paste, I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to keep the original thermal paste. I had a quick reviews of looking at other people's, and we've heard that there was a little experiment that was done with the original thermal paste with the up-to-date Noctua thermal paste. The original was better by 2 degrees, so I'm going to keep the original one that's already on the cooler itself, and we'll see from there how it goes. Okay, now question now is, which way does it go? So I think it's this way. This way gets difficult because so what is left to do is just to put the cooler part on, the brackets on for the cooler. Oh dear. Just so that you can see it, the little brackets that comes with it just to slide into the motor itself. Now, next thing to do is to take this cover off, which is a bit hard to do because I can't pull this out too much because the wires are already there. So I'm relying on the GPU to hold this up. Now the problem now is if I do pull this out, which comes out just like that, you see that just comes out like that. I need to put this in. Question, do I put it in that way or would it go that way as well? I'm not sure which orientation it will be, so I'm just going to hold on to this gently, pull the other one out. I'm hoping that it can go both ways. If it does, I'm actually going to be quite happy because oh dear, I think I might have done this wrong. Yeah, I've done that wrong. So once again, I've done it wrong. It should have been this way. Mistake. Because I want this to go like this. So I want this to be at the bottom, but that causes a problem because I can't turn it. So I will have to do it the normal way. So either way, I think it's going to be a problem for me. So let's just do it in here. In it goes, just slides in, which is so simple. I think Corsair's done really well on that one. It just slides in like that. So again, once again, you've got to make sure you go the right way. And the wire that's going to go on the top, that's going to stay on the top. This is going to go towards the RAM side, which I hope there's enough space. These are things you've got to think of. Now, especially just turning this around, somehow getting it. Oh dear me, it's going to be a tough one. Turn this around. I don't know if I made the right move or not, but this is the way I'm putting it. Oh damn it, it's coming off. The sliding thing I put on slides out very easily. That's in. Oh, come on, you stupid thing. It came out the other one. fiddly little thing, isn't it? There's too many wires there as well. So one side is in, I think, he said. That's I've got to keep hold of this. Actually, to be honest, it went smoother than the other ones I had before, where I was having so much trouble trying to get it in there. Now, I could have, yeah, I think it's probably the best option what I did, but this hits the fan here, so I've got to find a way of stopping doing that. So, it's very close to the fan, but I think it'll be alright. It's not that bad. I can just tighten this up. Just hand tightening it, not too much. Question is it centered? I think it's gone too far upward. That's better, I suppose. The wires get on the way, so I've got to get my hand right in. Looking at the thread, you might not be able to see that the threads are sort of coming up to the top slowly. So when I know they're even by looking at how high they're up, then that's the maximum I can hand tighten this. That's the maximum I can hand tighten this as well. Let's try the left hand. That's it. I think that is enough, but that is a bit of a problem. So I might have to do something, maybe get a clip that puts these two together like that, because I don't want to do it over time. Okay. Bit of cable tie might come handy there to keep them nicely aligned. I can get one out. I have to chop it up a bit as well. So this is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to roll around that one. No, just do it the wrong way around. Roll it that way. Hopefully it won't get seen. Basically, I'm just rolling around like this. It's like an S shape, but more like a 8, figure of 8. Okay, that's one. I've tightened it too much now. Okay. Now I'll do the other one here as well on the top, which may be seen, but I don't think it'll be seen that much. If I chop the ends off, it should work. There we go. Into figure of 8. Got to be hidden underneath it. For unusual tactic, what's shorter one will hold the top one so it doesn't touch the top. I think that went really well. So all I need to do now is just chop it off with a scissors. Next bit to do is just to chop this off on here without cutting the one off. Okay, that looks good. Right, so that's the one bit done. The last bit to do, well, last few things to do basically. So I'm going to take this plate off and put this plate on, which will be quite nice. Put it aside. And the worrying part is here. When this come off, why is it so? I don't know how long this screw is. I hope I'm not unscrewing the whole thing, the water comes out everywhere. I'm assuming it just changes. Okay, it's not long, so it's a very short screw. to the side. It's a plastic, looks like a plastic Allen key, which is quite weird. Never seen a plastic one before. Oh, it's not coming out with the trying to turn it. Next one, 4 of them to do. They could have made that a bit easier. I'm just going to break this and just easily turn it, because otherwise it just gets stuck. I become like a screwdriver. Look how quickly I've done this. That one comes off. Okay, just the top plate, so you can see, I've never seen that. I mean, somebody must have done on a YouTube video of this. So I'm just going to replace it with this one now, make sure it's the right way around. And this one doesn't have any, oh, it does have a film on the top. Okay, so, oops. I think white looks better. I don't know, you guys can decide, but I think I'm going to go with the white. Let's put all it back in. 1, keep it in place, put 2 in. And then the 3rd one, and the 4th one. I'm sure they could have just done it with 1 screw and that would have been done. My Allen key that I broke was plastic, which is brilliant. I just easily now turn it. Oh, look how quickly I can put them in now. 2. 3. 4. Take the film off, because I don't need any more. Right, now that leaves us with just a bit of wiring to sort out. So as you can see, these little wires here just hanging around everywhere. I want to somehow hide them behind like this and behind like that, so it just doesn't get seen too much. Maybe put it underneath it. There we go. This wire here, I'm going to lift it up now and sort that out as well. This tells you the temperature of the case. So I'm going to lift it up and sort this out and show you the finished product now. Alright, I've done everything I need to do. I've sort of tucked the wires in a bit more, loosened a few things up, and you can be the judge of how well I've done my wiring. But as I've said, with this particular case, there isn't much of a gap at all on the back to do much, apart from the side here. And that's all I have, and now all I've got to make sure is they're all tucked in nicely without causing any problem. Only way I can do this actually is to put the thing face down and do it that way. So I'll be doing that now. As you can see here straight away, there's no enough for the case to close, so I've got to find a better way of doing this. Maybe spread it out a bit more, and then again, some of the wires are not quite stiff to do anything with. So I'll be turning it over and I'll show you the other side now, how it looks. Before I do that, you can see I think white looks better. I don't know if it's straight or not, but it looks good enough. I used some cable ties here just to keep that off the fan on the top, and I think I'm quite pleased how it turned out. Now after doing all that, it all comes down to the fact, will the 280 radiators do any better than the 240 that I had before? In my calculation, I've heard people say that 280 is better, but I've had issues with 120 to 240. I've done a video of that. It didn't make that much of a difference on a different system, but then again, this is a much more demanding sort of CPU, and I've got a better GPU, so the different the efficiency of it and how hard it's working might get very hot. The orientation, some people might say that that should have been above the motor itself, but there isn't a problem with this at all, because as long as the water goes up and down and the air is trapped on the top of this, above this should be no problem at all. I may have put this on the other side, but then I don't know, either way you can't really win with all the wirings and how the pipings are. It's not hard work. I wish if I did hard tube water cooled, that would be quite nice. I can orientate it in different ways, but it's fine. So the best thing right now is, what is the positives to this? Even if it doesn't work, the fact is I've took out loads of stuff that I didn't need, made more space at the back. The radiator looks much better, and they're all going to be controlled by the iCUE system, by the Corsair. It took me literally a day to do all this, just taking it apart completely and redoing the wiring as I would like it. That's the best I could do, as you can see. I'm sorry if it's not good enough for some people, but here you go. Now all it comes down to is a bit of testing to see how this works. The look wise, aesthetic wise, what I was really going for, to make sure this is just a home PC. It's not worth a lot. Probably maximum I probably would have spent on this probably £2,000 or a bit more, but this is over time, so probably 2,500 by now, because each of this stuff do cost a lot of money. What I also like is that the fact that it's got the 140 fans all the way across, so all sort of looks a bit more unified. Color coordination wise, black and white is all I can do with silver, and I like, out of all the graphics card, I do like the Founders Edition to be much better and much nicer. Bit of dust and stuff, just do hoover up maybe, and then turning it on to see how well it works. And I'll show you the thermal when I'm playing a game to see how well it does, and I'll let you know on that one as soon as I can. Alright, I've been spending like quite a few hours trying to sort this out, the iCUE system on Corsair. It's not easy to use, but at the same time, when it's getting it to work, I'm trying to basically get the fans to have minimum sound. As you can tell, with 140mm fans of, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, which is up there now, if you can just about see it. There's 5 of them. Let me open this up and you can see a bit better. 5 of them. There's a lot of noise, and I'm trying to bring this down to bare minimum noise. And for the 3 fans on the top, 3 that you can just see there, they're at about 1,233 RPM. I can't get them down, but I can make these radiator fans to go down to about 600 or lower. Don't know why I can't do that, but with that size fans, it does make a lot of noise. And also, I wish there was a way of turning these fans here, reversing it, so you can see the front like I can do on the top. That would be quite nice, but you can't, so it just shows the back of it, which is not bad. It will do the job. But these are quite easily controllable for some reason with the hub that it comes with the Corsair cooler itself. This one here, the top ones, I can't get them to go down to a slower speed to make less noise. So my biggest issue right now is when I close this down, if I keep it quiet, you can probably just about hear the fan. I'm about 30 centimeters away, and you can probably just about hear the fan. And that's the noise, the humming noise that you'll hear. With the other Commander Pro, I could basically bring that down to bare minimum, almost like no noise at all. Because if you look at the speed, the fan they're going at the top left hand side, fan on the left is at the top one on the left here. I put it down to bare minimum on the curve, and it's still not stopping. It just carries on going at that RPM that you can see. Anyway, that's the biggest problem that I could find. So apart from that, I haven't done fully testing it, but if I look at the left hand side here, the temperature is staying stable. That is at about 39 on the CPU, and the GPU is 37. But GPUs I've never had problem with it. It's just the CPU that goes quite hot, and it ramps up very quickly as well. That's another problem. I don't know why, but it does that. But apart from that, it's all looking good, and I'll do a test later just to see how well it performs in demanding games. So with it, I left the ADX LED lights on as well. So there's a controller for that. So there's 3 controllers in there: Commander Pro, and the controller for the AIO, as well as the ADX, the RGB sort of light that you can see there as well, these strips. Overall, so that took me a couple of days to put it all back together nicely, and that's the best I could do. Now I'm going to demonstrate to you the difference between the 240mm radiators and the 280mm radiator, and I've noticed a significant difference, which does make a difference because mine is in a closed place. It makes it difficult to cool down, so therefore the bigger the red, the more air will go through, and thus giving you a cooler system. That's the plan. And as you can see, they're now sort of coming on a bit more. Let's log on and see what it looks like. So right now, it's just on before we start it up, it sort of goes into these RGB colors. What I've done is when the system cools down, it will show now. You can see the color coordination I set up with this radiator as well. So when the CPU gets hot, the color on the fans will indicate how hot it is. Right now it's working as cool, so it's white. It goes into yellow, then onto red. Now the problem with the iCUE software is I've managed to this color there, I can't change it. Every time I change it to the way I would like it, it keeps going back to the red. That's something I've got to deal with. The Commander Pro, whatever is doing it, I just don't know why it's doing it, but it's just doing that. But the temperature has been a significant help with the temperature with the new radiator, and it works really well with the 280 radiators are so much better, and I think it's such a clean cut finish now with the matching fans almost, so which works out really well. The difference between these 2 fans here and the other 3 are, this has got the 4-pin PWM, so easily controllable with the it just controls it better, and these had to be controlled with the Commander Pro, otherwise it just full on blast 100%, and which is not always a good idea. So now, as you can see now, the temperature of the CPU has dropped down to 37 and GPU 34, therefore the fan has stopped working. Well, fan has stopped, and as soon as the temperature goes up, or during gaming or something, you'll go it will speed up, and also the colors will change. So that's the setup that I've got, and hopefully I'll show you from the game clips of the 2 different, one with the old radiator, the 240, and the 280 as well, and you'll see the temperature difference. So in the gameplay, you can see the temperature of the GPU and CPU before the upgrade of the radiator from 240 to 280. You'll see the temperature on the bottom right hand side. In the red, it will show you the CPU temperature. In the green, it will show you the GPU temperature, and as you'll probably just about see it, but I'll tell you, it's about 75 degrees, and it does go up to 80 degrees on the CPU, and for the GPU it stays about 65 degrees on the new 3080 Ti Founders Edition. So we'll compare this to the after the installing of the new radiator and the redoing the whole PC, and we'll see the difference between the 2. So this is the finished product after the upgrade. What you'll probably notice on there is that everything is looking very white. The fans, that is because the temperature are currently, as you probably see on the corner there, is showing up as 38 and 39 degrees for GPU and CPU. What I like is the fact the color is quite nice, color coordination very good, but the difference now is when it's quiet, it's very quiet, but with 140mm fan, I think you've got to be aware of, if you're ever thinking of putting these on, they are very loud when there's, well, 5 of them on there. So that's the only thing to be bear in mind. But when you're playing game with the headset on, you probably don't listen much of it, but if you're doing heavy load of work, it will crank up and you can hear it. So what I'll do, I'll just start up a Gears 4 that I normally play. I'm just going to click on it right now, and you'll see them change colors, and I'll show you the temperature. So I'm going to click on it now. Okay, so Gears 4 starting. See straight away CPU temperature is changing. That's probably reached about 65 degrees right now, straight away, instantly. And the noise, and that is a noise. Now that is the noise to be aware of. The game isn't started yet, just sort of loading up right now. But when it does, we'll see the difference. We'll get a quick game going and you'll realize the temperature of how much you can go up to. So there we go. The RAM thing hasn't changed yet because I still haven't configured it properly for some reason. GPU is doing really well. Now this is closed case right now, so the it is closed. So when I open it, it will check the temperature as well. Okay, so with the noise that it's making, it's not that bad. I mean, I put a headset on, you don't hear it. So, but when you go down to, I've just changed the setting to Windows so you can see it. The temperature has now gone up to 70 degrees to 64 degrees, 65 degrees. So the GPU stays quite nice and cool. It can go up depending on the demand itself. But overall, I would say that I think it's a good improvement. Now, just to point out, I'm going to say a few things about the radiator itself. The color, of course, indicates what it is. Now, the difference between the 240 and the 280 radiators, that I would say, is basically how quickly can it cool down. Now, it doesn't completely cool down to, let's say, 40 degree while it's in, being used. The CPU is being used quite heavily. I would say if the temperature goes up, it cools down quicker to a bearable temperature than the 240 radiators can do. So that's the difference I've noticed, because sometimes with the 240 it took a while for it to bring it down to, let's say, manageable 75 degrees when I'm playing gaming. So right now it's hitting 70 degrees to 70 on both. So I'm very pleased just to show you when the gaming starts. This is before even gaming starts, how it is. So we're going to come out of this now. So once again, the temperature is showing up is about 71 and 70 degrees on both, which is good. Now let's open that. I'm just sort of searching for a game. Let's open up the case and show you how much noise it's making. I hope you can hear the noise. It's quite noisy. Temperature is so still 70 on both. Now we're going to notice if the GPU changes the temperature by opening the case door at all, and see if that changes at all. So no, it doesn't change much. The difference between before and now is the GPU. There used to be a little fan here, and if you noticed before, and they used to allow some cold air going in to cool the GPU, but it's not there anymore. So before it used to be like 65 degrees when I'm playing games. Now it's just hitting 70 degrees, and the CPU is still 70 degrees while I'm searching for a game. So would you have a quick look to see on the gameplay itself how much the temperature goes up by. So the match is about to start, and I don't know if there's enough people on the match lobby. So you can see the temperature right now is showing up at 71.65, which is not bad actually. It was up to 70 almost before on the GPU, but the CPU is doing quite well, 71 degrees up and down, so which is really good. And this is before the game even started. So when the game starts, we'll see on the demand when we push it a bit more to see what sort of temperature we're going to get. So the match is about to start, and here we go. This is on the movement as well. I'm just going to quickly do some running around. See, the temperature has now sort of gone to 71 to 64 degrees on GPU and CPU. So CPU 71, GPU 64, and this is basically on the movement that I'm doing right now. And I think if you look at the sound, if you hear the sound now, still very loud, but with the headset on you won't be able to hear that. So I would say it's looking quite good. So what we achieved with this new radiator, all I can say is it keeps the temperature down by about 5 degrees from where it was before. It was 75 to 80 degrees before. Now it's about 70 degrees. And with the GPU, that hasn't changed much, although I would have preferred a bit lower, but it's very good, 63 degrees on the 7080 Ti. And I would say this is the achievement with the new radiator, and I'm very pleased with the outcome of what I've done so far, and I'm happy with it. So yeah, that's the conclusion to it. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you enjoy this. I know it's a long video, but it sort of goes through all the details and all the trial and tribulation I went through just to get this temperature down. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.